So, Manas, if you can start, then I will talk about Manasi. You welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. And with permission of Professor James, we would like to start the meeting. And Dr. Mansi, as you know, that we from the placement cell of IAPS especially have started these placement talks this year. And our primary aim is to inform our students that what all other opportunities are waiting for them. So rather than just typical thinking about, academic or few development sector organizations where their seniors are there, or, they can, means we are sure, as you can better tell than me, that there are ample opportunities waiting for them. So they just need awareness and sometimes some guidance. So definitely people like you, by sharing your experience, can enlighten them that in shaping their careers, so that is the primary goal of these placement talks. So far we have already done 5-6 talks, and probably for this academic year you are the last speaker. So we are looking forward to your talk. In fact, your success stories we would like to listen. So with this, I request Professor Aparajita to introduce Dr. Mansi to all of us.
Okay, Mansi, so you are the last batsman. So to win the show, you have to bat well. So it has been said that respect is not dependent on age, and I do believe that respect comes for different reasons. And she's the girl who is sitting in front of me, is a personality of that kind. I think she's the batchmate of many of my students when I was in BHU. So I think our Preeti is Manasi's batchmate. Is it correct?
Yes.
So welcome, Manasi. And just to give a very brief introduction about you, you are a multi-talented, multifaceted personality. Manasi is having 17 years of experience in the field of statistics, demography, and research. She was associated with Nirmala Niketan as a research director for the past 5 years. Prior to that, she served the Public Health Department of Government of Maharashtra as a senior demographer and as a consultant of UNICEF. She has also worked as head Department of Statistics in one of the well-known colleges in Pune. Her areas of expertise include quantitative and qualitative research, training and capacity building, and technical support for social surveys in terms of planning, data collection, analysis, and documentation. Manasi did MPS and PhD from IIPS, and she's passed out of University of Pune, and she's presently pursuing a master's in yoga and is a certified yoga therapist and naturopath, serving as a faculty at Yoga Vidya Niketan in New York for the last 5 years. She is having plenty of hobbies. As I said, she's multifaceted. She's a very good writer. She loves traveling and music. She also works passionately for organ donation and environmental conservation. So at this age, if Manasi can do so many things, I'm sure that many of our students will be inspired by her talk, and many things that she will discuss with you beyond the academics. I'm sure it will be a very fruitful talk, and she will enlighten us thoroughly. So welcome, Manasi. Now, Professor James, few words for Manasi.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Manasi, for joining us today and agreeing to give this placement talk. Let me also at the outset congratulate both Sajida and Dr. Manas for organizing these talks. I understand that it has been quite useful for the students. And thank you for all your efforts to really make our placement cell more active. As Manasi know that IAPS never had a placement cell as such, because we never even thought about that perhaps in the past a decade back. And it was all started when our number of students are increasing, and we thought, it's also important to give assistance to our students. But it's also perhaps our motive is to really wake up our alumni, because many of our alumni, our students always ask us this question: why IIPS doesn't utilize the large number of alumni and the scholars and available out at various places, various institutions in this country, and their services are hardly been used for the institute's development. Perhaps I think we thought, placement, although it is called placement talks, it's not that, the students are given the direct inputs to get employment, but it is more of, you can say, sort of a personality development talks, or it's more to really understand what is the world outside, because IIPS is always a cocoon. So once you are here, you are always taken care of everything. You have your friend circle, but you also need to really understand what's there in outside. So this is a great opportunity for them, especially to learn from our own the members who are really graduated from here and then placed in different parts of the country or different parts of the world. So that was primarily the motive behind such a placement stock started. I'm really happy that it has really went well and the students are enjoying it. And I'm sure your talk will be of immense use, because you combine of different, not only in terms of qualities of whether you are doing different activities, but the type of work you are doing in the NGO. Perhaps it is more important for the students, because that really, to understand there is a different dimensions of work there outside. So, and it is, Salam Mumbai is one of the very prestigious and very important NGOs, which we all of us know. So naturally, I think the activities there and the how you your pathways to getting into the NGOs and the work there would definitely motivate many of the students who are currently at IIPS. So thank you once again, and without wasting much of your time and the students' time, let me perhaps request you to give your ideas and your perhaps the motivations you think that the students would require when they come out of the campus from IIPS to the outside world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, respected Professor James, Manas, Aparajita. I still would like to call her Aparajita ma'am, because as she said, I have been at the student age when she joined as a professor. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. As I always strongly believe, friends, whatever institutes we take the training for, the basic training right from school to post-graduation or even further, we keep taking and taking from the professors, from the library and from these different institutes. But there are very few opportunities where we have been given a chance to give back. And for me, this is one such opportunity for IIPS. IIPS has given me tremendous positivity and opportunities to travel abroad across the globe. A lot of intellectual stimulating discussions. So a lot to share of my career with IIPS, which I will eventually do. But I look at this as a Guru Dakshina to all my gurus in IIPS. Some small, generous, humble contribution from my side, if it is useful to the students when they step out into this world. So thank you for giving me this opportunity again. I don't know where to start from, because as Aparajita ma'am has been saying, it's just an informal talk and a discussion. So I will leave a lot of time for you, all of you, to ask me questions and get your doubts sorted out if you have any. But first few minutes, I will tell you my journey, where I started, and today I am at Salam Bombay Foundation, serving as a Vice President, Research and M&D, Monitoring and Evaluation. So basically, I'm a master's in statistics from Pune. immediately after my master's, just let me know when you start feeling bored, okay, so that I will shift on to something much more interesting. Okay, so after I did my master's, I immediately got an opportunity to serve as a lecturer, a full-time lecturer in one of the very reputed colleges in Pune. I was very happy to take on that because I loved statistics. I loved its application-oriented nature. And I was very young, so the statistics department there was just being formed, and I took over right from scratch of setting that department, setting its library, and convincing people around me how statistics is important and how it can contribute to an overall analytical understanding of the students. So that is where my journey, professional journey began. I was with that institute for almost 10 long years. I enjoyed every bit of teaching, learning, and setting up that department and eventually heading it towards, say, 6 to 7 years down the line. For family reasons, we had to shift to Mumbai. I was not very keen because I was totally enjoying my lecturership there. Interacting with students, there's so much to learn from the students as well. The give and take, and as you all know, statistics is a very interesting subject, not at all as dry as mathematics. So my journey of 10 long years was very exciting and full of learning. But somehow I had to leave that behind and I came to Mumbai. Whatever happens, happens for the best, because PhD was always there at the back of my mind throughout after my master's. But I was very sure that I didn't wanted to get into PhD in hardcore statistics. I wanted to do something much more application oriented, and that is where IIPS came into my life. So I was very happy that I found a branch wherein statistics also plays a critical role, but there is a lot more to it apart from just statistics. But friends, although I was a master's with 10 years, since population sciences is a very specialized sort of a field, I was told that I could not register myself directly for PhD. I had to go through the master's in population science, which was a very tight 1-year course, and only then I was eligible for my doctorate. So again, I was standing at the doorstep of another master's degree, which was full-time, and I had a small baby that time. But let me tell you that 1-year master's program, as all of you must be aware, and you have already gone through it, it's extremely well designed, well executed, a lot to learn in just 1 year, total full packed with knowledge and a lot of skill building that happens in that 1 year of master's in IIPS. So exposure to a lot of things, conferences, international, national, paper writing, and so many different things to learn. So I enjoyed my master's. That time I was very fortunate to have Professor Mari Bhatt as the director. So I still remember my conversations with him, and we all dearly miss him a lot. He was a stalwart in population sciences in the field of demography. Eventually, I got into doctorate, PhD course in population sciences with Professor Ladu Singh as my guide. Again, I decided that let me tell you, I was overaged for all this. Okay, so I was being referred to as Didi by everybody in the class. So I did my master's, second master's almost at the age of 30 or 32. But a wonderful group, and we were a close-knit family. So with doing my doctorate at that age, I didn't have much time with me to go on with my thesis for a long period of time. So I decided that I'll commit completely to my doctorate, and within 3 years, I'll finish my doctorate. And I used to go and sit in the library at 9 in the morning and get up at 6 in the evening, entire day like a full-time office job. And Ladu Singh was an excellent guide. With everything that I gained, learned, I owe to him totally, and of course all the other faculty members also, because it's a beautiful learning process. Doctorate is just the beginning of research, as we all say. So all other professors also were very cooperative, supportive, giving, basically. That's what I would like to mention here. Everybody in IIPS just keeps giving you. You just need to take it and make the best of it. So I completed my doctorate within 3 years. And immediately after that, I got an opportunity to serve as a senior demographer with Public Health Department, Government of Maharashtra. It was a totally different type of a job, typical government setup. Their MIS, Management Information System, Health Management Information System, to be precise, was something which was totally ignored the time when I had to join that organization or the government setup. And that was the basic prime reason for Public Health Department to recruit me as a UNICEF consultant, because they wanted their HMIS to be in place. It was just haywire, and nobody was able to utilize the data. Nobody was able to make any sort of decisions based on the data. The statistical officers and other staff who was actually handling the data was not at all trained to read the data. They didn't know what the figures were. They were just compiling the data into tables, that's all, blindly. So I took up this challenge, and for almost 3.5 years, I was serving the Public Health Department. It was an extremely challenging task, but I again enjoyed it because I got to learn a lot in those 3.5 years. Right up to the grassroots level, I could understand how the public health system works. Okay, so my basic responsibilities were capacity building of the statistical officers and others who were managing the data, putting things into place for HMIS, making sense of the HMIS data, and sort of conveying all that information in whatever best format I could to the higher authorities so that decision making becomes easy for them. I got opportunity to work with very good people like Jain Kumar Bantia and Vikas Kharge, who is now with our Honorable Chief Minister. And Professor Jain Kumar Bantia sir was the Chief Secretary of Maharashtra for almost a year. A lot to learn from these people. And I really will say that it is important for us to get into the system and try to make the changes rather than just standing at the shore and saying ye kharab hai, wo kharab hai. ये तो कभी reliable figures देते ही नहीं है. इनके पास हमेशा झूठे figures ही होते हैं. Instead of doing that and just cribbing, it's better you enter the waters and try to make some positive difference to the entire system. And that opportunity was available to me, and I really think that was the best time of my career immediately after coming out of IIPS. After that, I took over as a research director with Nirmala Niketan, which is an educational institute. A totally different role I got into. I always had enjoyed academics as a lecturer. Here again, I was into an educational institute, but now with a responsibility of handling and growing their research unit. So Nirmala Niketan is a very prestigious, a very reputed social work organization, which has its dedicated research center. Okay, none other college in entire country has a separate research center like Nirmala Niketan. So till the time I joined it, they usually used to put some senior professor into the responsibility of handling research within the organization. But then one fine day they thought that we need somebody who has professional capacity and capabilities of handling research. And so I was looking out for something like this. And my contract with UNICEF came to an end after 3.5 years. So I was looking for something like this, and I got into Nirmala Niketan. There I was on this side of the table, Fred. So raising proposals, drafting budgets, and approaching other NGOs, government, and international organizations. So proper research projects are commissioned to Nirmala Niketan, and NN, as we abbreviate it very commonly, is very reputed for its reliable and authentic research. Okay, so I was very fortunate to be a part of that team leading that research department. A lot of good projects came on to the research center when I was there. I was there for almost 5 years. We worked with government, we worked with NGOs, we worked with corporates, we worked on impact assessment, we worked on need assessment, impact evaluation, we worked on baseline, end-line surveys, and many, many fascinating and interesting projects. So yes, there are a lot of challenges, particularly when funds is a biggest challenge. So when there is a resource crunch, research is the last priority, always, everywhere. Research, even monitoring evaluation to a large extent. So making the budget, a satisfactory budget in a small amount, giving them whatever they wanted, was something which used to make me restless and take away my sleep at night. But again, that is the place I learned a lot of a good documentation and how to handle the stakeholders, how to handle different NGO partners, international level partners, and how to justify your research studies and the findings. The biggest challenge is they want to commission the research to you, but they are not ready to accept the truth behind those findings. Okay, so they want the findings the way they want it to happen, which never happens in research. Okay, you have to be very truthful to what comes out of the data. Here is the data and here is the finding. So that is something we never gave into with any organization. And I'm happy that I could take that credit of remaining the most reliable and the authentic research center as far as Nirmala Niketan goes. After 5 years or so, I sort of started feeling saturated because I had handled too many projects there, headed too many, spearheaded so many. So again, thought of changing into something much more challenging. And I came across this opportunity of Salam Bombay Foundation. Salam Bombay Foundation is a typical NGO setup, but a national level NGO. So my journey was academics into government, into educational institute, and now into hardcore NGO. Okay. NGO works totally in different ways. They had many verticals working last 2 decades, making a lot of positive difference to the adolescents. So SBF basically works with adolescents, health and education. And they build their skills and they reduce their school dropouts. So that is the vision and the mission of SBF. Research and monitoring evaluation was set up as a separate dedicated vertical when I stepped in. So till then, somebody from other verticals were managing monitoring evaluation to a very small scale. Research was not at all the priority. But now we have been working, last 1 year or more, we have been working towards bringing out very interesting researches based on adolescent health and education, along with strengthening the existing monitoring and evaluation mechanism there. So that's my role in Salam Bombay Foundation. Again, very challenging, very fascinating, and completely virtual. Let me mention that because I haven't had the opportunity of sitting in the office and working, because the day I joined, the lockdown was declared. But very good experience till now. A lot to do, a lot more to achieve, and I'm looking forward to it in Salam Bombay Foundation. So yes, that's my professional journey. I am passionate about yoga also, as Aparajita ma'am mentioned. Last almost a decade, I am practicing yoga, teaching yoga, and now looking forward for another PhD in yoga, because it's again a very fascinating area, upcoming domain, much more because of the COVID pandemic. Yoga has helped me to a large extent in my professional life, both research, academics, and monitoring evaluation. To first of all maintain positive mindset, bring back my concentration to a large extent, because all of you know population sciences is a specialized field, friends, and IIPS is one of the premier institutes offering such courses. There are very few institutes of that credibility and cadre in India and abroad. So we are actually a small family, and that's, I totally agree with Professor James when he's mentioned that IIPS is like a cocoon. Okay, you have to break and come out and step into this world. So a small close-knit family is what we all look at each other like. So we all deal with data, a lot of data, playing with it, dirting your hands in it, and obviously you need a calm, focused mind to absorb those nuances of the data and come out with meaningful interpretations and inferences. So this is what I have always enjoyed in my career, playing with data. And IIPS is the place where I developed the skill, handling large scale data in thousands and lakhs of NFHs and so many other surveys, DLHs, RHs. So as I said, yoga has really helped me in my professional career also. And if possible, I would recommend it strongly to all of you also. So these are the few things I wanted to share with all of you. When you move out of IIPS, tremendous opportunities are waiting for you. Very fascinating, very interesting. And you just have to open yourself, enter the world with an open mind. Okay, so be proactive, be ready to take on challenges. There are going to be failures. They are everywhere, at every step of your life. But learn to convert those challenges into opportunities and keep learning, basically. Just keep sharpening your skills whenever you get an opportunity and whenever you have time, because skill building is something which is the core requirement now in the market. Your basic training is fine. You are done with it. That will never get away from you. But now looking forward, you have to think about what more skills can I have so that I can contribute in much different and unique way to the organization I join. Okay, because that's where the difference between two candidates come into picture during interviews. Your resume and your competitor's resume, and you have to justify why they should choose you and not the other person. So skill building is something very, very critical. The skills I would like to emphasize, which are needed in the market, are documentation, learning good software skills. So if you are keen into research, you must get on hands-on onto some softwares. For quantitative softwares, IIPS gives ample opportunities, but for qualitative softwares, you need to have some hands-on softwares like NVivo or Atlas TI or Anthropac, because many NGOs work with qualitative studies, less of quantitative. Okay, so it's majority of the times it's a mixed methodology, but yes, still qualitative is something which gives you in-depth insights. So that is preferred even now outside. Modeling skills is something you need to focus on. So predictive modeling, your analytical skills, documentation skills, learning softwares, keeping yourself abreast of new softwares. This is something which will come in very handy for all of you once you join any organization. And be passionate about the work you do. Get into something which is of deep interest to you. Okay, don't take on some job just because आया है तो ले लेते हैं, देखते हैं क्या होता है आगे. Because then hopping from one organization to another also doesn't give a very good picture of your commitment. So think before you join any organization. When you have started getting opportunities, take on the opportunity which is closest to your heart. So as I heard somebody very beautifully saying that when you start serving the organization, you have to keep the 3H in mind. Okay, H. The first is the head. So you need to take intelligence with you. Without that, you won't be hired. Second is your heart. So your passion has to come. That fire of learning and putting in the best and enjoying the work without even keeping a stock of time or place. That is heart. And the third is with head and heart, you need the hands to put everything into action. So if you have these 3H with you, I'm sure you'll have a tremendous, beautiful, and a very productive career when you step out of IIPS. Last but not the least, just in 2 minutes, we all need to learn stress management. You need to have a calm, composed mind when you start serving in any organization. You need to have team building skills. You need to have leadership skills. You need to have a proactive nature. You need to have presentation skills. Okay, so sharpen all these skills now that you have time with you. All this would be needed when you come out and join any organization, whether it's government, whether it's NGO, INGO, whether it's corporate. Right, so I think I will stop here and would like to take questions if you have any, or any sort of guidance. I'll try my best to help you out. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mansi. It was really, enlightening. Thanks for sharing your experience. In fact, I would say success story. Yeah, as usual, at the end of every lecture, we request our students if they have any specific questions for our speakers. With the permission of the speaker, of course, would like to take some questions from our students. So can I request all students to ask if you have any specific question for Dr. Mansi? You can write in your chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask her, whichever way you feel comfortable.
Friends, please feel free to ask me any doubt or any query or something which you would like to know.
May I request some of the students to switch on the video if it is not problematic from your side? Without seeing the faces, it is very difficult for a teacher to teach. So make this environment little dynamic. So if you can switch on the video, it's good. But at the outset, I must say that Manasi, if you can say very specific areas, I mean, you talked about the skills, like in qualitative research, there are a lot of scopes. So if you can talk about the skills they require besides being knowledgeable in the software, then it would be good. Like I know that our training is little poor in documentation, perhaps little weak in monitoring evaluation. We are not in a position to teach them very directly about these things because these are very much field based. So if you
Yes.
can ask them that these are the areas where you need to develop yourself beyond the syllabus, because this is the online zamana and they can pick up many courses. So if you can guide them, it would be very useful.
Very good question, Aparajita ma'am. I totally agree that monitoring and evaluation is something for which proper professional training is not being given in many of the institutes. It's not just IIPS. Even outside, monitoring and evaluation comes in when a student steps into some organization as a monitoring and evaluation coordinator or an officer. So that journey begins from there. And it is everything. It starts from learning what is monitoring, what is evaluation, what is the difference between normal monitoring and hardcore, quote unquote, monitoring of programs for making a positive difference to the entire process. So monitoring and evaluation is one area wherein, friends, you can take very good online courses. There are a lot of good online courses available, right starting from basics to advanced M&D skills. It is very important to understand that monitoring evaluation is an integral part of research. Okay, so if you are passionate about research and you are looking at research as a career, then in any organization you go, monitoring and evaluation is going to be a very important pillar. Because ultimately, the programs which organizations run need to be monitored properly, and feedbacks need to be given to the teams at regular intervals about whether they are going in the correct direction, whether the set goals are being achieved, whether some modifications need to be done. And ultimately, evaluation has to happen, and proper concrete figures need to be produced in front of the board members that yes, this program is being successfully implemented at the grassroots level. So all these insights of monitoring and evaluation need to be grasped. A lot can be learned directly on the ground, but yes, you need to start building yourself in this direction through some online courses available. There are a lot of workshops, there are a lot of seminars which are specifically focused on monitoring and evaluation. So this is one area wherein you need to build your skills, and it will never go waste, because I would say majority of you would land up doing monitoring and evaluation when you join some job. The second aspect which Aparajita ma'am raised was qualitative research. I would again mention that quantitative is something which is strengthened to a large extent in IIPS. Don't bother about quantitative. You will be experts in quantitative when you step out. But qualitative is something which needs to be studied and internalized, because everywhere it's always a mixed methodology which is formed. Even in IIPS, many large scale studies also use the mixed methodology. So you cannot run away from qualitative. Qualitative is complex, not as straightforward as quantitative. You need to understand the theories, you need to understand the different data collection methods, you need to be expert in extracting that complex information available in huge data that you gather in qualitative methodology. So analyzing qualitative data is a skill in itself. And software comes in handy only up to a particular level to make your content analysis easy. But after that, it's your skill that you need to develop to read the data, triangulate it well with the quantitative findings, because qual and quant has to be triangulated, and that gives you the holistic picture of any research. So that is another skill area which I would emphasize that all of you need to focus on. I hope, Aparajita ma'am, I have addressed your...
Fine. I think students will be asking you questions. Somebody has
Yes.
asked something in your chat box. If you can just check your chat box.
Yes, let me see.
You can even raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask her directly.
Oh my God. What made you decide the PhD in yoga? Friends, yoga is another very fascinating domain, like statistics or like population sciences. These are very specialized domains. So you are fortunate that you are in IIPS and you are into population sciences, because अगर आज भी आप बाहर जाते हो और आप फर्टिलिटी, मोर्टालिटी, माइग्रेशन, पॉलिसीज, प्रोग्राम्स इसके बारे में बात करोगे तो 8 or 9 out of 10 will not understand what you are speaking, because this is a completely specialized field. Only those who are trained in it will understand this language. Migration फिर भी थोड़ा बहुत पता है लोगों को, interstate, intrastate, लेकिन fertility, mortality पता नहीं ये सब क्या होता है, या फिर population sciences है ही क्यों, या फिर what is demography, what is its use? I'm sure all of you have come across such questions. So just like population sciences or statistics, yoga is also a very, very fascinating and a specialized field. I have, God's grace, gained some skills in research over my last few years of research journey. I would now like to, and there is very less research in yoga. Yoga is a very strong science. It's our ancient heritage. But unfortunately, Western people talk more about yoga in terms of research than Indians. And that is what disappointed me to a large extent. कि अगर ये हमारी धरोहर है तो हमने उस पर ज्यादा बात करनी चाहिए, not the Western people. And research is a gray area in yoga. It needs a lot of people need to come forward and do good research in yoga and actually prove to the world that yes, this is just very similar to any other science, and it's not a miracle. Okay, it has tremendous robust scientific base. So I am trying to combine my research expertise and skills with a beautiful science of yoga, and that's the reason I decided to pursue my PhD. The second question is, I want to go back to core statistics. Okay, so as I understand, Soham has asked this question. As I understand correctly, you are already a BSc in statistics, Soham, and now you are into demography, but you want to get back to statistics with a master's. I'm doubtful whether with master's in demography, you will be eligible for master's in statistics. with BSc in, when have you completed your BSc in statistics? Soham, if you could just tell me that information. 2020. See, personally, what I would suggest you is, you already have a base of statistics, and now you have a beautiful skill of demography with you, which is again a specialized domain. So instead of going back to MSc statistics, you could utilize whatever statistical knowledge you have in your graduation, couple it with your demographic knowledge, and utilize that time in building much more skills important for these two together rather than going back to just a master's in statistics. Yeah, so that would be my personal advice to you. Don't run behind degrees. With BSc statistics and masters in demography, you are all set to take on very challenging jobs outside. And everywhere you will get opportunities to put your statistical passion on ground along with your demographic skills. So you need not really think about another master's in hardcore statistics at this juncture. Okay. If you want to do PhD in core statistics, then MSc in statistics. I'm not really very sure, Soham, because the time I did my master's in statistics and wanted to pursue PhD in statistics, master's was important. I mean, they didn't entertain any other masters other than statistics for PhD. Because as I have been saying, statistics again is a very specialized field. So, अगर आप masters in physics हो या masters in say biotechnology ho, and you want to pursue masters in statistics, it was not allowed that time. I'm not sure about now because we are far more open now across the streams. So maybe you could just check out with the universities if you want to pursue a PhD, right? Could you please name few organizations which are doing great in qualitative research in India, and how can we apply and upskill ourselves for it? Okay, now there are no specific organizations in the country which deal only with qualitative research. Okay, it never works that way. But majority of the NGOs in Mumbai and outside Mumbai or Maharashtra, wherever they have been into the field for a long period of time. So I'm talking of those NGOs and INGOs who are into doing and contributing for over, say, a decade or more. Usually they prefer qualitative because that is somewhere they can that is the way they could capture their impact on the society. Okay, so as you all know, quantitative is always cross-sectional, but qualitative is a very strong tool to capture what has been happening over a large period of time. So changes, behavioral changes, changes in attitudes, perspectives, knowledge levels. This is something which usually NGOs are keen to find out. And that is where qualitative comes in very strongly. But again, they will always ask you to couple it with some quantitative because they want to bring it out in the public domain कि हमने इतने students तक reach किया, इतने students के लिए काम किया. So qual quant always goes together. Data science or machine learning having application in the field of health research in India. Skills of data science on machine learning. If you directly talk about government health system, unfortunately, no, they are not yet reached that level of using machine learning or data science. But yes, there are a couple of international organizations active in the country who deal with hardcore health, public health, and they are into data science or machine learning. Maybe you could just use your internet and surfing skills to find out, but there are a couple of them. But as far as directly government is concerned, we are not yet at par with all that. I think I skipped some question before. It was about qualitative software. Quantitative analysis. R is the best software nowadays, very popularly and commonly used. It's openware, very easy to use, lot of YouTube channels available to learn R. Apart from that, SPSS has always been the most popular among non-statisticians. So all those who don't have an analytical background and get boggled down with how to use the logic and how to use the formulae, SPSS is the software for them. Stata is again something which IIPS has been using for a very long time. Very good software. But R is in vogue now. So do get yourself sharpened with R if possible. Can you kindly share something about large data sets? Large data sets as large as the entire Maharashtra, 35 districts, HMIS. From state level to district, to tehsil, to block, and down up to the village level. That was the entire data I had an opportunity to handle. I couldn't imagine data as large as that. And as you know, Maharashtra in itself is a huge state. So that was a very good opportunity. And at different levels, the challenges were different. Okay, so state level data, matching the data internally was वो तो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज था. ग्रासरूट लेवल से कोई डेटा आता था, कंपाइल होते 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 स्टेट लेवल तक उसका कुछ और ही तैयार हो जाता था. So it was mind boggling actually, putting the HMIS in place, but a lot to learn again. What are the pros and cons of pursuing PhD in population studies? Does people get any extra edge? No degree goes waste, dear. I will always strongly recommend doing a PhD in population studies. As I have been saying, PhD is the first step of research. Okay, आप 2% भी research नहीं सीख पाते PhD में. लेकिन अगर वो नहीं सीखेंगे तो बाद वाला आने वाला research तो ज़्यादा time लगेगा absorb करने में. So go in for PhD, whether you get into academics or non-academics. A doctorate degree will always place you at a much higher level, knowledge-wise and PTC-wise as well. Okay, so yes, please pursue your PhD if you are keen in research. You will enjoy your PhD.
Yeah, somebody has raised her hand. You want to ask any question?
Yes, sir.
I have exhausted all the questions directly from the students.
Yeah. Please ask if you have any question.
Good morning, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Ma'am, we have an internship, then they don't want to get मतलब वो किसी फ्रेशर्स को नहीं लेना चाहते, वो ऑलवेज एक्सपीरियंस ही मांगते हैं. Then in case what we will do.
I'm so sorry, Priyanka. आपकी आवाज ना क्रैक हो रही है. I was unable to understand your question. Maybe you could put it in the chat,
Mansi,
or maybe if you could repeat it. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Mansi, she's asking that at the entry level, if you are asking experience, then how we can proceed? So how to handle that question, or what to do? What is the solution?
Okay, the only way out, Priyanka, is sharpen your skills to the extent that they see the spark in you even without experience. Obviously, you are a fresher. You cannot bring experience from somewhere, right?
Yes, sir.
But skill building is in your hand. If your resume is strong enough to tell them that you have a lot of skills which can contribute positively to their organization, they will give less priority to experience and more to your skills. So that is the way to get into the job market, and then things become much more smooth. Right?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
It seems there is no more question. So if there is no more questions, can I request Barsa to?
Manas, sorry,
Ah,
Manas.
yes, yes, please go ahead.
I have a question for Manasi. Last one. Manasi, for female folks, if you can say some added things, how to handle everything. Because you did your PhD when you were having a kid. So
yes.
it is quite challenging for us. So what would you suggest?
I will only say to all the female students that you are capable, you have tremendous mental strength, much, much more than men. Okay. And it's just that you need to get yourself very clear in your head about how you will plan your career, what is it that you are looking for, how you are going to achieve it, and just be an expert in time management. That's it, I will say. We all have 24 hours with us. But if you are good at managing your time, prioritizing your day, and working clear-headed that this is what I'm going to do today, I'm sure you'll be able to achieve both your career, a beautiful career, as well as a very satisfying family life. Both are possible. Apart from these two, there's a lot you can do more, much more in the given time. Okay. So as far as energy levels are concerned, as far as mental strength is concerned, we are superior. I'm so sorry, with due respect to all the males in this group, but with these two aspects, we are always being superior, and make the most of it. Take advantage of it. Nothing is difficult at any age. Keep learning. And as I've been saying, keep a positive mindset and keep yourself calm. Don't put in your energies where they are not needed. Okay, energy is very, very precious. And every thought, I'm sorry, I'm slightly getting my yoga into this, but every thought needs energy. तो आप हिसाब लगाइए, पूरे दिन में 70,000 के करीब थॉट्स होते हैं. हर एक थॉट के लिए एनर्जी लगती है. अगर आप सोचते रहोगे वो भी स्टूपिड वाली बातें, तो आपकी सारी एनर्जी उसी में डिसिपेट होने वाली है. और अच्छे पॉजिटिव कामों के लिए यू विल बी totally exhausted. So plan your energy, how you are going to utilize. Stay calm, you are strong, and just go out and achieve whatever you want. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. So this is for all, huh? Both men and women. So, well, I think one more question. I think just if you are having time, right?
Yes, no problem. I'm enjoying this. I hope others are not getting bored.
This question is, I think, how far publication helps in getting a job in research sector?
Large scale. publications do matter. Okay, whether you are in academics, whether you are in sectors other than academics. That's the reason I was stressing on the skills of documentation. Publication is a part of documentation. You need to polish your language skills, both speaking as well as writing. And you need to do your research in a way that it could be brought out into the public domain in the form of publications. So please do not ignore or do not feel that big list of publication doesn't really help me get a good job. No, it doesn't happen that way. Publications do help. And you start your publications in your master's in IIPS. That is the best thing. You go on to much more publications in PhD. But after PhD, somehow there is a pause. When you enter job, you don't get enough time to put your ideas into a research or a research paper, but that shouldn't happen. At least one paper, I have been at least following this last many years, one paper a year, if possible, is important to keep our brain going and to keep the list going. So they are important, yes. Any other question? Hello?
No, I don't think there is more questions for you. Thank you for, nicely. Oh, there is some, I think, Aega, independent whom? I don't know. What is this question? I mean, I did not understand this. Mr. Sonu Sharma can explain to others. But definitely not a question.
Sonu seems to be very happy and wants to enjoy, and that's the reason he has put that.
Oh, he has just left the meeting. Anyway, okay. Thank you, Dr. Mansi, again. And I request Varsha to deliver the vote of thanks. Varsha?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. On behalf of Placement Cell of IIPS, I, Varsha Nagargoze, give a really heartfelt vote of thanks to our chief guest speaker, Dr. Mansi Bavdekar, who spent her busiest time to guide the IIPS students and for choosing a right career path and sharing her own experiences and her career journey. Today's talk was really so effective for all of us, and we feel amazing as we have get an opportunity to hear you directly through this online platform, ma'am. And we get the chance to ask you our doubts in the field of demography. This is definitely encouraging us in our future while choosing the career. Ma'am, after hearing you, I felt that age really doesn't matter while one has a crazy for pursuing the dream. And another thing that you are one of the best example which represent the women, that women are not lesser, and if she has a willpower, she can reach to the higher position, ma'am. I'm seriously very happy to hear you. And, you also told that you about that the different skills which are important to improve our skills and to how to prove ourselves that we are the best in the job market. So these are part I am thankful to from IIPS to hear you, and I would like to request that although you are I know you are busy in your day-to-day life, but we would like to be in touch with you through LinkedIn or through email. So it would be better if you share your email ID to us. In addition to this, I would, as Manas sir told that this is the last talk of this academic year, I want to thank on behalf of all the IIPS students. I would like to acknowledge our gratitude to Placement Cell Authority, Professor Aprajita Chattopadhyay and Dr. Manas Ranjan Pradhan for bringing forward the idea of conducting such kind of placement talk series for whole academic year. And I would also like to, I am very grateful to our institute's director, Professor K.S. James, for indicating green signal for each different activities done by Placement Cell. till now. That is from my side. Thank you once again, ma'am. Thanks to the IIPS Placement Cell authorities and our institute's director. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you, students. All the best. All the best in your career. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if you need any help, any guidance. Please take my mail from Aparajita.
Yes, ma'am.
And need me anytime in terms of research, in terms of MA. Thank you. God so much. So,
Thank you, Mansi. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.